So if you enjoyed this video and want to see more content like this on the channel, you can show your appreciation by clicking on the PayPal link in the description box, and you can donate any amount that you feel is equivalent to the value of this video. Also, leave us a thumbs up. It helps us get more views.
It is reporting on the Atlantic Monthly, one of the top globalist anti-human publications. The folks that are trying to organize a violent coup of the president. The Eclipse is racist because it fails to affect enough black people, the Atlantic suggests, as if the elites and the billionaires care about anybody but themselves. But then everything is this virtue signal as they hobble the minds of the public. Last night, Owen Schroyer had seen on the news that they had just announced they were going to take down Confederate statues at the University of Texas overnight. And so he went down there, and there are 2 lengthy videos on Infowars.com that are expletive-laden. And if you were white down there and you're trying to cover it, people march over and say, "Why are you here?" And Owen says, "Well, I'm a journalist. This is very interesting that in the dead of night they're removing these." And then the people start screaming, "We hate America," and start chanting "Death to America," and screaming and howling and freaking out. And you hear the hysterical voices on these tapes we're going to be playing. Owen's going to be in studio at the bottom of the hour, and it is just mental illness. My ancestors were persecuted by these people. Ah! I mean, I could dig back and find anything you can want has gone on to my ancestors, and I like feel some psychic wound and I'm a loser and then you're guilty. This is total scientific hobbling. This is people having their Achilles tendons culturally sliced so that you're just a walking basket case. Look at what Charles Barkley said. He said, "I don't even know who these people are on these statues and never even hardly seen one or been affected by it. Quit letting people manipulate you into stirring up a fight." That's all this is a bunch of craziness. And then people pulling them down think they're like defeating somebody. This is all part of the power structure wanting to set the precedent to be able to remove whatever they want, whenever they want. And of course now they're going after Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. Doesn't matter. They were born into a system that was going on all over the world. Doesn't matter that England and then Europe and then the United States led the world in ending slavery. You go to the college or you watch TV, you'd never know that, even though it's a scientific fact that the UK, back then England, the British Empire went to war with more than 50 countries to end the slave trade. We had a war in 1812 with them over it. But you'd think over in England that they teach them over there that they invented slavery. Hell, the Britons used to be slaves under the Romans. Total upside down, crazy town world. And you've got a bunch of people going to college being given worthless degrees for worthless futures, and they psychologically poison them, and they psychologically brainwash them where you're not getting a real degree for a real future because the future doesn't need you. The robots are taking over. That's all admitted. But first, we've got to disease your mind with a chip on your shoulder where all you see is racial stuff, where all over the United States, they've banned the term lynch off of halls, libraries, you name it. And then they're even talking about not letting folks be on the faculty named Lynch because it's a Irish name. And there was the Lynch trials 200 plus years ago where a father and son hung the other son because they thought he committed a crime. And there was a famous trial called the Lynch trial. I mean, if somebody's got the last name Simpson, that's associated with OJ trial. Do you ban the name Simpson? This is banning words catering to the mental illness. Oh, we got Play-Doh for you to come play with. If you're upset, you hear about the Constitution. We've got videos that colleges where folks see a constitution and they get so triggered they go in and cry and they say, come in here, we have Play-Doh for you. And we have colors, we have crayons, and you sit there at a little table that's a foot high with your legs crossed like a baby, and they go, aren't you a good mental patient? So Atlantic Monthly and others are saying it's racist. The eclipse is racist. Just everything has to be hijacked with garbage. American blackout. A tour of the solar eclipse path reveals a nation that fought to maintain a different sort of totality. What? Meanwhile, because they're teaching people that see the imaginary racism everywhere, then have chips on your shoulders, then wonder why folks are scared of you or don't want to work with you, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's like a schizophrenic seeing the clouds and thinking they're monsters coming to get them. One time I had a homeless person stumble up to me on the street and say, look, it's following me. And it was the sun, and there's more of them, was pointing at clouds. This person was a full-on schizophrenic, out of their bonkers mind. Same deal. But they're imposing it. Colorado man stabbed because of his neo-Nazi haircut. Look, even Yahoo legitimizes it. Well, like maybe he deserves it. New York Post got it right. Man stabbed at a haircut gets him mistaken for a neo-Nazi. He pulls up at a fast food place to go in and get a shake and steak in Denver, Colorado. And a guy runs up screaming, you're one of them Nazis, and tries to stab him in the neck, but he blocks it and almost chops his fingers off. And then I saw people on Twitter going, yeah, kill him, he deserves it. Doesn't matter that most of the basketball players you see who happen to be black have the same haircut, or David Beckham or anybody else. It doesn't matter. You need to find that racism in the eclipse, in a guy's short haircut, in whatever it is. You've got to find it. It's got to be there. So that's why I've issued a travel advisory for the United States for white folks going to places like Denver, Detroit, places like Chicago, places like Seattle, because I've been to these towns and I've experienced it, and I've got some of the statistics here. Black Lives Matter supporters have to grapple with this chart. And it shows that, I kept saying 10 times more likely for whites to be attacked by blacks. That's a watered down number. It's 25 times more likely, according to the Bureau of Statistics and the FBI. 25 times more likely if you're white to be attacked by a black person than vice versa. You can just type into Google, before they change this, I'm sure, black on white crime, and we'll put up some of those graphics. 25-1 physical attack, homicides. Blacks killed by whites, 2%. Blacks killed by police, 1%. Whites killed by police, 3%. Whites killed by whites, 16%. Whites killed by blacks, 81%. Of whites killed is by blacks. Blacks killed by blacks, 97%. Those statistics are from 2015. They're always 2 years behind. And this was not happening 50 years ago. In fact, illegitimacy in the black community in most areas was lower than the white areas because they were predominantly very serious Christians. But they brought the social engineers in the 50s and 60s. The Democratic Party did. You know, I love how the Democrats are acting like Republicans have these Democrat Party people whose statues are being pulled down all over the country. I mean, it doesn't matter if it's Robert E. Lee or you're trying to pull down Thomas Jefferson. I mean, those are Democratic Party icons. I love how you got blacks running around yelling and screaming as the media told them to, with a bunch of white knight race pushers, when you don't have any blacks living that ever even saw slavery. You've got all these whites who were never connected to it. And then you've got the Democratic Party that is literally pushing this, that's removing their history, and then somehow that's all Donald Trump's fault. In fact, I tweeted that out this morning, that point. I've noticed a lot of other people making. It's just total hype, hysteria, mental illness. And the statistics are all there. I mean, there needs to be reparations for white people the last 20, 30 years getting attacked and killed by the tens of thousands every year. Seriously, if you want to play this whole game, and I'm not actually asking for that, there needs to be real travel advisories. They used to have in the 60s in some places like Selma, Alabama, the New York Times would put travel advisories out for black folks. Well, you know what? They needed a travel advisory. That's true. But we need real travel advisories now that white folks need to understand that there is the promotion and the pushing of you being mugged, you being killed by the new Black Panther Party and everybody else. They're saying, go out and kill a white person. Go out and mug a white person. Go out and commit crime in their neighborhoods because they deserve it.
If you're interested to learn how to create content and spread content, we'll show you how. Go to the Operation How YouTube channel, click on the About button, and then click Message. Send us an email. If you want to engage, become an info warrior, we will train you up.
If you like this video, make sure you hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon below the video to get notified when the latest new content drops.
Keep us in your prayers. We get a lot of resistance for putting these videos out, but to Yahweh be the glory.